A very significant budget deficit. You know, if the press is widely
Will
reported.
an increase in property taxes address that?
It is likely that that will be part of the package. Again, we haven't rolled out the full package yet, but the package is going to include cuts, and it is going to include proposals for increasing our revenues. You know, we cannot.
When you say
we can't
cuts,
get there
cuts
for
in
your
services or cuts in
expenditures. You know, we're working right now.
But when I hear cuts in expenditures, I think cuts in services.
Well, we're hoping to avoid that. You know, I mean, at you know, the conclusion of the budget process, you know, we need to have a balanced budget, and you know, our goal is to not cut services. You know, if we absolutely have to, we will go there. We are not going to have an unbalanced budget. But the goal is to find ways to do what we do more efficiently. You know, we have outside consultants that we're working with. There's a large working group that is led by business leaders in Chicago that is looking at the same problems. What can we do as a city differently so that we can be much more efficient?
In what some see as a midsummer trial balloon ahead of a contentious fall budget season, the city's chief financial officer said the mayor could ask taxpayers to dig deeper. At the popular Mario's on Taylor Street, folks from around the city enjoying a cold treat were decidedly lukewarm about the idea of higher property taxes.
The working class should get a break on taxes. It's taxes on top of taxes on top of taxes on top of taxes.
I think it's horrible. I feel like majority of the people is already having a hard time, and they're trying to keep their homes.
But with the city facing a more than $1 billion budget hole, Chicago's chief financial officer, Jill Jaworski, telling Bloomberg News it's likely a property tax increase will be part of the package the mayor proposes, adding our goal is to not cut services, but rather to find ways to do what we do more efficiently. The mayor says nothing has been decided.
We're going to contemplate all ideas, but it is too early at this point to ultimately determine which package will ultimately prevail.
If you can show us the case, make a timeline, and tell us exactly what this is paying for, I think that'll make people feel better that, like, we're paying taxes for a good reason.
Last year, the mayor initially proposed a $300 million property tax hike, which city council members unanimously rejected. Many are still opposed.
He hasn't come first with a list of reforms. It's just spend, tax.
The mayor needs to come to aldermen and say, where is he going to right-size the budget? We're not seeing that. We haven't seen that in the past year.
The mayor's budget working group, composed of civic, business, and labor leaders, will deliver its recommendations by the end of August, ahead of the mayor's fall budget address.
I think it's the first time on the morning show, right?
It is. Yeah. Dina and I are, breaking records now.
That's right. Yeah, it's a morning of firsts,
exactly.
right?
That's
we appreciate you both getting up early here. Well, look, let's start with this budget deficit here, $1.2 billion. A lot of money, big gap to fill. Your CFO said there's a chance that property taxes could be increased. Where does it stand as of this morning?
Well, I'm not going to propose a property tax increase in my budget proposal. Look, over the years, we have seen budgets that have not reflected the values of the people of this city. And as someone who has grown up in the working class, a middle child of 10, I can tell you the struggle each and every single day that working people experience in this city to make ends meet, it's real. And so I'm going to put forth a budget package that calls for progressive revenue so that we can continue to make the critical investments to build more affordable housing, to invest in our behavioral and mental health care services, invest in youth employment, and ultimately drive violence down in the city of Chicago as we continue to see homicides fall, robberies, shootings, shooting victims. We're going to work to build the safest, most affordable big city in America. We're going to create a budget that reflects our values, and we're not going to balance that budget off the backs of working people.
And I'm sure people feel really good about that because it was stressing them out. There are a lot of economic challenges right now. You talk about this idea of progressive funding. Where exactly is the money going to come from? Because we need state help to kind of institute some of that progressive funding. And there's a huge budget deficit.
Yeah, look, we're going to close that gap. We're going to find ways in order to make government more productive, right? So there are opportunities to do that, to modernize our budget system, to move into a more, 21st century form of governance. But look, there are a host of ideas out there around progressive revenue. As we continue to mull through the different variations and packages, I'm going to present a budget that ensures that we invest in our young people, invest in affordable housing, and invest in our community safety.
its morning off with a new state budget.
State lawmakers worked late into the night approving the spending package just before the midnight deadline. The $55 billion budget includes several tax hikes and spending cuts. Those tax hikes hitting gamblers, smokers, and big out-of-state companies to fill $1 billion shortfall. Taxes will be boosted up to 45% on cigarettes, vape products, and chewing tobacco. The budget also cuts the state's property tax relief grant, leading to a $43 million property tax hike.
The spending bill does not include a bailout for the RTA, which oversees Metra, PACE, and CTA. Agencies are facing a $771 million budget shortfall. Without help from the state, the RTA says drastic cuts will be needed. Governor J.B. Pritzker praised the budget and says he will sign it. In a statement on X, Pritzker said in part, "I look forward to signing my 7th balanced budget in a row and continue to build a stronger Illinois."
This 700-square-foot one-bedroom apartment will now cost Michael Markellos $17,494 in property taxes for 1 year. Markellos and his mother own this 10-unit Lincoln Park apartment complex. Last year's tax bill for all 10 units combined was $23,674. But now look at this. The same 10 units are now $128,282 this year, up 440%.
I was outraged. These are basically simple one-bedroom apartments for people, college graduates who work downtown.
The majority of the annual increases are from the latest installment of tax bills just sent out at the beginning of December. The payment is due before the end of the year, and in just a few months, another installment of taxes will be due.
Merry Christmas and Happy Valentine's Day.
Markellos says the only way to pay for the recent tax hike would be to raise the rent on the one-bedroom apartments. The increase, he says, would scare renters away.
We have to go up to $5,000 to $6,000 to pay all the bills.
And no one's going to pay that.
Well, who in their right mind is going to pay for it?
Markellos' attorney is appealing the increase with the Board of Review and the Cook County Assessor's Office, which assesses properties and determines how much to bill. How hard is this for you?
Financially, it's basically putting the building in bankruptcy.
What are you going to?
What you didn't know is that your buddy Brandon Johnson voted for that sugar tax. Let's talk about taxation. Chicago has a tax for everything: water tax, grocery tax, tourist tax, hotel tax, bag tax, liquor tax, cigarette tax, the highest sales tax in the country by far, parking tax, surcharge of downtown parking, property lease tax, and streamer tax. The only thing that you all don't have a tax for yet is oxygen tax. And the only reason why you don't have a tax for that just yet is because you ain't figured out how to do it yet. But let me not speak too soon, because you probably might actually think it's a good idea and you're going to try to write it down. So let's go ahead and talk about, let's not forget about the good old sugar tax. Y'all remember y'all used to back in 2016, and you go to your favorite grocery store and you buy your favorite 24-pack of pop? Well, you paying more taxes on that pop than what the actual cost of it is.
I was devastated. I'm like, let me look at the percentage, but I was literally devastated when I saw that increase.
Daryl Lloyd lives a modest lifestyle. He bought this 3-bedroom, 1-bath home in 2006 and paid cash $115,000.
I see 960 square feet. I don't have a second floor. I don't have a basement.
Just days ago, his home sweet home on Gardner Avenue in unincorporated Chicago Heights felt more like a nightmare.
I'm at a loss. So right now, I don't know what to do. I can't even sell the house because they see the taxes. Everybody gonna run.
This is the tax bill that Lloyd received last year, a little over $1,800. But this is the whopping bill he received last week, a property tax hike of over 3,811% for a total of over $30,000. The property was valued at over $1 million.
Nothing over here is worth $1 million.
The diesel mechanic and safety inspector is currently receiving disability after suffering an injury.
I had to move in with a relative or something. You know, I can't afford it.
The Cook County Treasurer's Office says sadly Lloyd isn't the only homeowner with a large tax bill. The office conducted this analysis and found that, quote, the assessor's office acknowledged it erred in calculating land values for more than 4,400 homes in the south and southwest suburbs. That led to severe overassessments for homes on larger plots of land. The errors were discovered too late in the process for them to be corrected before tax bills were calculated, printed, and mailed. Lloyd says he went to the Cook County Tax Assessor's office to get help and kept getting the runaround.
I said, let me go downtown City Hall to the assessor's office. And at that point, I showed them my taxes and I told them that I had a substantial increase, and they was like, everybody taxes increase. I talked to another gentleman. He looked around and made some calls, and he said, well, I called another department. They won't answer the phone.
That's when Lloyd called us about the $1 million mistake. Fox able to reach the assessor's office, and tonight we have confirmation that the astronomical tax increase is a mistake. The assessor tells us, quote, this property was given an incorrect assessment due to a permit that was unintentionally applied to the property. We will process a corrected tax bill for this property in the coming weeks, ensuring that the homeowner will ultimately pay the right amount in property taxes.
It happened to me. It probably happened to other people. I'd like to see something, immediate action.